Space Vampires! A tabletop miniatures video by Dangerously Incompetent. Today we're looking at Legion of the Black Sun, which are a bunch of vampire grunts for Starside, a new game coming from Archon Studios at some point in the future. We're looking at the moment is Archon Studios Studio paint job. My paint job probably won't look that good, but I'm not going to include that in this video. This is just about the miniatures themselves and how good they are or bad they are, and how I'll look at them on the sprues and then assemble a couple of them and show you the pictures. These miniatures aren't available at retail yet. I think Archon is holding them back in order to make a big splash when they launch their Starside game, you know. New game, new rules, new miniatures, yay! You know, big publicity boom. Yeah. But they have given some away as samples at Salute and UK Games Expo, and that's where I got mine, well, via eBay. They've also been included as a bonus on their Rampart Kickstarter, which is a bunch of walls, and well, there's Gothic walls and there's Aztec style walls and floors, you know, like a dungeon bash, but yeah, but in plastic, which was quite interesting. In fact, that's how I got interested in these miniatures, because for their Rampart Kickstarter they did lots of blogs and videos on their designing the miniatures and making the molds and getting the injection, showing how the injection molding works, all that. That was what interested me, and that's why I got to see these little space vampires. But their Rampart's Kickstarter seems to be running a little late. We aim to deliver May 2019 the latest, the campaign says. Well, today's the 19th of July 2019, and they haven't started delivering it yet. So, yeah, I don't think I'll be getting any of these miniatures via Kickstarter, and I wouldn't hold out any hope of seeing them at retail very soon. These miniatures are made of injection moulded polystyrene, which in my book is far and away the best material for miniatures. And here on the first frame we've got 5 custom bases and 2 vampires. To give you an idea of the amount of plastic you get on the frame, here's a frame of Frostgrave cultists for comparison. Here on the second frame are the remaining 3 vampires, for a total of 5 space vampires in the set. As you can see, these vampires are in the Blade Underworld film style, wearing long leather coats, dusters, and one of them has even made his from the skins of his enemies. Look, you can see the faces. Let's look a little closer. The ruler is in millimeters, by the way. So there's some bases, more bases. You can see there's cutouts in the bases. I reckon that, so that's so you can stick an LED in there and a battery. You fit that under that 32mm base easy, and then you can have underlighting. You know, how wicked is that? And here's a 25mm black base for comparison. All of the vampires are in monopose, and they're all in different poses. And they're divided up differently. So some have got legs separate, some have got legs moulded next to the cloak, some have got different separate feet. So there's a leg with a foot on it and a breastplate and the back and the duster, and then on those were feet. Yes, that's his feet. So he's got his legs stuck to his cloak, and then the feet are separate. But then there are different ones where the whole leg and foot is separate from the cloak and it's pushing out forwards. They've all got swords and they've all got plasma pistols, and those are all the same. I suppose that's a design decision, really. I'd have preferred different weapons, but these guys come from a legion, I suppose, so they've all got the same weapons, because it's, you know, sci-fi, it's all manufactured. A bit of a amble around the other sprue, and so they've got a fan thing on the back of their neck. I think it's decoration, really. The other 3 vampires. There's the cloak with the faces again. different arm. Well, the arms are slightly different, but they're all armoured the same, and they've got technical bits on the front near their mouths, like breathing apparatus and stuff, and communications gear, and then greebling on the back plate. These two frames make 5 vampires with bases. There are no parts left over, no extra options, no false advertising claiming you can make 15 different types of vampires when you can actually only make 5 and have a load of spare arms and heads and weapons and so on. 5 honest to goodness space vampires, and that's your lot. They've all got swords in their right hand and plasma pistols in their left. The arms are all posed slightly differently, and they've got ball and socket joints on the end, and those ball and socket joints are identical across the different vampires, so you can mix and match the arms to the bodies, and you can pose the arms as you please. The heads are on posts, so you can rotate them left and right. They're not ball and socket joints, but so you can't look down or look up, but you can look left and right, and again you can swap the heads between the bodies, no problem. And the rest of the body is like monopose. The swords and the pistols are all identical. I would have preferred a bit of variation, a different a scimitar on this one, maybe an axe for this guy, but they're made of polystyrene, so I can always cut the sword off the hand and then replace it with something from my bits box. Oh, I tell a lie, there is one extra. If you happen to need a space vampire at Titan scale, this little fellow is 6mm tall. There are no assembly instructions, they're not needed. Each vampire has a letter, and each part of a vampire has a number. And the letter and the number are paired up with a little arrow on the runner pointing at the particular part. So you clip off and glue the parts together in order. You take part A1 and you stick on part A2, and then you stick on part A3. Simples. Because there's only one place each part will fit as you're assembling each individual vampire. And the parts fit really well. And for the larger, more complicated joints, there are lugs and dimples to help you locate them in the correct place. So all in all, a joy to assemble. The production quality on these models is great. It's injection moulding with CAD/CAM production of the moulds. They're designed and cut from the digital sculpts, which means that all the parts fit when you put them together. And it's injection moulding, so all the shots are the same as the first one. It's great. All the straight edges are straight, and then there's none of this warping you can get with polyurethane resins because the moulds are soft silicon, or PVC because the PVC is still a bit melty when it's popped out of the mould, and so it can bend. And the flash is very small amounts, very easily cleaned up. Of course, the downside of injection moulded polystyrene is that the moulds are steel or aluminium, I think in this case, and they're rigid, and then the polystyrene is set rigid before it's popped out of the mould, so you can't have any undercuts, which sometimes lead to a bit of infill, between legs and tails, and the side of the model is a bit flat. But these models have been divided up in such a way that the infill is absolutely minimal. I mean, there is infill, but to find it, you've got to look a long time with a magnifying glass. So, well done Archon, because this is one of the first set of models they've done in injection moulded polystyrene, and they've come out very well indeed. Here we have a pair of assembled Black Legion vampires, and you can see they've gone together quite nicely, and the detail is good, and look, you can see their teeny tiny pointed teeth. The character proportions are real human. They're not Games Workshop's caricatured bobble-headed style where the head and hands are massive compared to the rest of the body. And we got a variety of poses from standing up to charging forwards. And looking at them, I think, well, actually, I might convert a couple of them to fantasy. vampires rather than space vampires, because all you need to do is cut off the breathing apparatus on the front of the chest and then convert it back to sort of banded armour, and then on the back cover up the greebling with a bit of green stuff and make it look like a jacket or a coat, and then replace the plasma pistol with the shield, and there you go, you're good to go with your regular armoured vampire. Now I've whetted your appetite for these miniatures, you'll be wondering how big they are and will they fit in with my other miniatures. They're a good deal bigger than 28mm scale. The standing upright vampire is 36mm from the soles of his feet to his eyeballs. Let's picture them with some other models to give you more of an idea. Here on the left you can see Tyrannid Steal Your Jeans from Games Workshop 2000. Then another vampire, then a standing upright vampire. Then we have Cultist Just for Scale, who is 28mm from the soles of his feet to his eyeballs. He's from a Frostgrave plastic box set in 2015. Then we got another Black Legion, and then brother not included in this set, who is one of the original Games Workshop plastic Space Marines from 1987. Back in the good old days. I'd show the vampires next to a contemporary Games Workshop Space Marine, but I don't have any. Well, that's not strictly true, I do have a couple, but they're not assembled yet, so you're going to have to use your imagination. All that remains now is to deliver my verdict on these Archon Studios Legion of the Black Sun vampires, and I give them the Dangerously Incompetent thumbs up. No, I don't have a carousel. Why do you ask?